prayer, okay, and you're fighting the good fight where it needs to be fought, then you know that ultimately the good guy is going to win. So you're really ultimately very optimistic and very positive. You're the one that's stopping to smell the roses. You're the one that's saying, hey, why worry? You know what I mean? What's it, like Jesus said, can it buy a single day, an hour, or a minute? You know, is it going to turn one hair white, gray, or black? I mean, it just, there's no purpose. Okay, today has enough trouble of its own. So we have to just take this thing one day at a time, but taking comfort and encouragement in knowing that God's will is going to be established on earth. You know, when you say you're a believer, you understand, you read your Bible. This is, you're prescribing the teachings of Christ, what he promised, what he taught. Your faith is based on believing that. And so that supersedes all your other beliefs, political and all this other crap. All the, you know, the social, political, and economic issues that are bandied about and that just serve to divide us. Understand that's exactly, precisely what's going on. Understand that it is a tiny, tiny percentage. This critical mass is a very, very small number. It doesn't need to be big. It's just controlling the rudder of the ship of humanity, the ship of fools, careening to destruction, planet Earth, all humanity, civilization. It's steering the direction. This Overton window, look it up. This is what's going on. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. It's a conspiracy fact. Humanity at large is being manipulated, and you got to get that and understand. Look, you got to get ahead of these people. Like Jesus said, be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but just like a detective got to get into the minds of a criminal. You got to kind of think how evil, what's his next step, so that you can catch this guy. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to understand it's a tiny percentage that are dividing us. They're using this stupid little stuff. It's a local communities are at each other's throats for stuff, the homeless issue and all these things that are just serving to be a big fat pain in the you know what for all of us. This Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, socialist, capitalist, right? It's insanity, folks. We're humans. We're one family, one race, for God's sake. I mean, I literally ache in my body. I've got so much pain in my soul. And I feel like, you know, I just want to take it out of myself. I mean, I'm so hard on other people, and I want to apologize for people that I really look up to, and I say things that are really kind of hurtful, maybe, and kind of insultive and maybe offensive. And I don't mean to. It's not my purpose. It's just I'm a very frustrated guy. I've had to watch things for a long time go downhill, and I'm tired of it. And God knows I want the worm to turn so bad. I feel like I'm just on the edge of dying of thirst. I want it that bad. I mean, it's just, I know that, you know, something has to happen here. We need a sea change of biblical proportions, unprecedented proportions. We need God's help, and it's the only thing that's going to help us beyond understanding and be empowered to say, whoa, I'm out of Babylon, dude, because, you know, you're a sinking ship of fools, and I don't want to be at the high point of the ship because it's going to get sucked down, you know, ferociously in this vortex, you know, to death and destruction and hell and, you know, watery death, a certain watery death that you guys are. I mean, it's it's done, man. The establishment is what I'm talking about. All those that comply and go along with it, they are the conduit between the steering of the ship and the rudder. Okay, and very evil forces are running the ship. And they prescribe to this population culling, reduction of the population, killing of the population to save the earth. And that's why I know a lot of good-hearted people like Noam Chomsky are out there. You know, he's a big proponent of believing in man-made global warming and all this. But even he, I'm listening to his speech right now, he hasn't brought up disruptive technology yet. This is my big beef, and I think this is intellectually dishonest. And that's why the mainstream media and all this, and I conflate it with these people that have this depopulation agenda. Understand the monsters we're up against. So this is what I mean about getting a couple steps ahead of these people. The end game is horrendous. So if they could start a civil war and give George Soros likes his type, his ilk, their way, and you know, there's a good way to reduce the population. You know, and people are going to have less kids. I mean, when you're in the middle of battle, you know, your man's not around to sire children. I mean, he's out there fighting war, getting killed, killing people, and, you know, other men typically, largely, for the most part, the majority are men, right, that fight the wars. And Yeah, that would bring delight to George Soros, probably, his type, and all those others, those elitists, the hypocrites that Jesus denounced with no uncertain terms. I mean, he railed on the, excoriated them, unabashedly, unequivocally. I mean, he didn't pull any punches when it came to excoriating these types, and we have to too. And the same thing with exposing them. Expose them. Speak the truth, but take comfort knowing that ultimately God is going to win this good fight. Okay, and people that are really being intellectually honest and they sincerely and genuinely do the Lord's Prayer, they tap into the Spirit of truth, which is in all of us. You welcome the Spirit of truth into your essence, into your heart and your soul, your spirit, your mind. You're going to be empowered with the truth. God's going to talk to you. Yes, telepathically. I mean, it's not like you hear voices in your head, but when you say, God, take over my life and give me the right opinion, the right belief system, the right philosophy and credos to behold, and, that's it. And he'll do it. You're asked for something really good, wisdom, and it's not hidden. If he hid it, then we couldn't emulate him and his character, what he wants us to do. What does he want for his kids? What's logical? What's reasonable? you know, what holds water? So when we think about that and you go, oh my God, it all makes sense now that he wants the best for us. And what is that? How does he want us to be? What is the Lord's will? Okay, what is this world of tomorrow that is going to be here when God's will is established on earth? And it's very idealistic. Admit it. All these people, I don't believe in a basic income. Like that's some wild, harebrained, socialist theory, and it's just another failed. That's Venezuela, or that's this or that. But I'm saying no. Go to your Bible. Forget your political indoctrination. Okay, forget what you think about liberalism and socialism. All these are just words that get bandied about. And remember, words mean very little unless we sit down and have a conversation as to specifically how you are using that word. What is your definition? In order for us to have a productive conversation, we need a meeting of the minds as to what in the hell we're talking about here. Okay, so egalitarian. You know how few people really even have heard of that word? They don't even know it. You hear it so seldom. Why is that? Is that just wow? It's just not a kind of term that people care about. I mean, but yet we hear equality, and now equality that's a pejorative because we could never be equal. And hey, how are we using that? What do you mean? Do they care about having as much as somebody else? I mean, maybe don't want to live in a castle. Maybe I like cozy. So if that's the inequality you're talking about, fine. There's going to be plenty of inequality. Just don't care. A lot of people are much more comfortable playing the servant role, believe it or not, and I'm one of them. I really am. I really prefer that. That's more comfortable to me. Okay, I don't like giving instruction to people. I don't like ordering people. I'm not that kind of a guy. I'm not a busybody. I'm not in your face. I'm not trying to subjugate you or marginalize anybody. I do believe in equality, egalitarian principles in that regard. I believe that the planet belongs to God and that it is God that says to share, okay, just like the parents in the household that leave their inheritance, their will, great vast fortune to their children. They're going to say, split it up. What the hell are you worried about? You can all have as much as you want and need. Don't be an a-hole, insatiable little greedy pig. Okay, get along with each other. Isn't that what your parents would say? That's what I'm saying. Okay, but about this apology, I do apologize to people, and it's kind of like a child might get angry with their parent. I remember getting very angry with both my parents at different times, but much more with my dad. And I got a daughter that has issues with her mom, and I totally understand it. Anybody does, and I try to alleviate it as best I can. I think there was people. I don't know how many people try to alleviate my tension with my dad. I had to find my own way to do that. But often that's the way it works. I mean, your therapists, friends, family, counselors, pastors, psychiatrists, psychologists, on, right? They can only help you so much, but they're humans. We're all kind of effed up. Okay, it's just the way it is. Okay, the original sin, it's genetic. We're all in the same boat, genetically speaking. We all have a lot of, crap, besetting sin to deal with. Okay, that does not make us feel good. It's a downer. Okay, that's what sin is. It's you sin, you suffer. It's an equation. It's not that God's condemning you or punishing you, But, we do this self-flagellation, but then God understands why you're running, what you're trying to escape from. So I believe firmly that a lot of these escapist behaviors people engage in would dissipate and just go away if we had freedom, peace on earth. Okay. But I know that we only feel safe when the ball's in our court. This is why we beat ourselves up the most. So whenever I'm hard on other people, understand I'm hardest on myself. But these are people I really look up to. They're like a child with their parent. They depend. They want their substance. They want logic. They want their parents to be intelligent and reasonable people, thinking people. So a child gets very upset when they think they're smarter than their parents. I don't want to be smarter than anybody. Okay, and I refuse to believe it. Even if it's true, I'm going to go into denial mode that I'm smarter than anybody else. Okay, I just don't want to, or everybody. I just don't want to be there. That's not the person I want to be. So what is it? What am I saying? Then by default, I'm calling people intellectually dishonest, i.e. liars. And I don't like that. That does not feel good or right, especially when it's people I look up to so much. People of great influence, guys like Alex Jones. Okay, I mean, in a very, real way, allegorically speaking, I am the offspring of people like Alex Jones, because when I really admire these people that are really outspoken and they're saying stuff you don't hear a lot of other people saying, or maybe anybody saying, and I shouldn't feel like I'm left flapping in the wind, because to a degree guys like him are left flapping in the wind too, because he gets so passionate and I admire passion. And, that's it. I just admire intellectual honesty. I mean, guys like Tucker Carlson. I mean, but the people understand I can be hardest on those that I really admire the most, guys like Roger Stone. But I don't understand his support for, nincompoops. I mean, Ronald Reagan, I think he was a nice guy. I mean, yeah, I could sit down and enjoy a conversation. I might even be able to influence Ronald Reagan's thinking. But as far as doing the right thing economically, and this is everything when it comes to finding our way out of this thing, okay, because people talk about how bad creeping socialism is. Well, Alex Jones, talk about the drivers, the what has induced the socialist sympathy in our land. Okay, because for a long time we have had an amalgamation of socialism in America ever since, what was it, Roosevelt with the Social Security. So once you start, going down this road, okay, then we've got evil people in the background. Remember the grand puppeteers, the invisible hand of the Rothschild, the robber baron types. Alex Jones knows well this stuff. He knows what he knows. This is deliberately induced impoverishment of the masses. Austerity. It is manufactured austerity that's being imposed on people. He knows well this is the whole plan. This is the whole idea, and he knows, I mean, we're all waking up to it, but Alex Jones is in a position with influence that he can help wake up a whole lot more people than I can with these facts, and just harp on it and point out the drivers, point out how pernicious, utterly and unequivocally, undeniably pernicious, bad. That means a fancy word for bad, okay? That's all it is. That bailout of '08. And how, we talk about the frog in the water and the Overton window. I mean, they really stepped up the heat, you understand? I mean, they really turned it up by debasing our currency, by legitimizing the theft of the wealth of our nation. That's what they did. This whole idea that it's a good thing that housing prices go up, and then people don't understand the difference between value and cost. Okay? I mean, it just... God almighty, I mean, if Alex Jones is deceived by this crap, or he's going to be even a little bit intellectually dishonest to think, well, this goes against my self-interest and my long-held beliefs about capitalism and stuff. It isn't capitalism, brother. It is crony capitalism. It is anti-capitalism. It is opposed to capitalism. It's antithetical to anything that resembles true capitalism. It is not free market. How is the bailout of '08 in any way, shape, or form capitalistic in that way? Free market. I mean, you talk about what the drivers of socialist sympathy are. For God's sake, man, they're calling that capitalism. And you're not going to contest that and let everybody know that you don't buy this current system, the debasement of the currency through raising our cost of living tax, and how that's a hidden tax. Well, it's not even hidden. It's in our face now. See, these people are prepared to everybody all of a sudden to get it because it'll reach a critical mass of knowledge and understanding. Guys like me are going to start being out there and they're going to talk to neighbors, friends, family, peers, co-workers, strangers, etc., etc. And as we're going to all go, yep, that's true. It's all true. It's all this. I'm not nuts. I'm well studied and researched, and I'm logical and reasonable. I'm willing to do the math with you to show you what the difference between the buying power of a minimum wage job 50 years ago and pointing out what the buying power of a minimum wage job is today, and show you that wages are never going to catch up. So this whole idea that we're going to do it with high wages or creating jobs, I mean, we just saw the layoffs with GM.